honor to welcome you all in the Studio National Seminar on Dara Shikoh, a Doyen on Global Peace and Mutual Coexistence, organized by Institute of Kashmir Studies. Institute of Kashmir Studies is a multidisciplinary teaching and research center in the Faculty of Social Sciences in the University of Kashmir. In its journey of development till 2015, it hosted the MA program in South Asian Studies, where students from South countries were enrolled. Since its inception, the Institute hosted PhD programs for international students from South countries, both in humanities and social sciences. And a wide array of research has been conducted from the beginning of this center. From media to sociology to literature, we have a good number of researches that have been conducted by this institute. Right now, we offer a 2-year program in the discipline of anthropology, where students are engaged in rigorous fieldwork on varied topics like kinship, issues of marginal groups, digital media, and so on. Also, as part of the regional studies focus, the Institute also publishes a Journal of Kashmir Studies, which carries a wide range of multidisciplinary research, articles, and commentaries on Kashmir history, language, pluralistic culture, culture of tolerance, and so on. Institute of Kashmir Studies, in a way, was a natural venue for this seminar, as Institute has been regularly hosting programs on Sufism, Shaivism, culture and society of Kashmir. So it makes all the more relevant that we are hosting this seminar on Dara Shikoh, a Doyen of Global Peace and Mutual Coexistence. We are highly thankful to Indian Council for Philosophical Research for sponsoring this seminar on Dara Shikoh. Thank you so much, sir. Reflecting on the current scenario across the world, the physical, the military, the economic, and the biological changes that we are facing, the concept of peace becomes extremely relevant and even a necessity in these unpredictable times. The substantial increase in structural inequalities, the widening disparities between the rich and the poor, between the developed and the underdeveloped, leading to increased conflicts and violence across the globe, and the threat to life, to the humanity as a whole, calls for a serious attention at the methods we are adopting to seek peace and stability in society. The purpose of human existence is to coexist in harmony with other human beings and with nature. A growing tendency to identify and segregate people along religious and ethnic lines poses a real threat to the peaceful existence of divergent human civilizations. However, among these challenges, it is the religious divide which adversely affects the normal and tranquil life of people of many countries. This seminar brings to light Dara Shikoh as a historical figure who stands out as an exemplar of coexistence and as a bridge between religions and philosophies. He undertook this enterprise of convergence under the spiritual guidance of his Sufi peers like Mullah Shah and the guidance and influence of a number of Hindu sages and pandits. He occupies a distinctive place among the Mughal princes and also found his way into the hearts of people through spiritual endeavors. Dara Shikoh stands out as an emblem of coexistence and convergence of philosophies and knowledge systems. Dara Shikoh was also known for his intellectual pursuits and was a patron of arts and was also a thinker, poet, and a scholar. He mainstreamed the peaceful coexistence of all religions, who had a deep understanding and knowledge of major religions, particularly Islam and Hinduism. He is also known as a pioneer of the academic movement for interfaith understanding in India. He strove to develop cordial relationships between people by finding commonalities between Hinduism and Islam and bringing their cultures into dialogue. Dara Shikoh greatly contributed to the study of ancient Indian spirituality along with Islamic mystical traditions by highlighting common linkages between classical Hindu and Islamic Sufi teachings.
If we see the purpose of creation of mankind, to me it was not created to decorate this planet. God has created so many other creatures or fauna and flora to decorate this universe. There were many other things to decorate this universe. There was some different purpose to decorate, to create this human being. And if we lose the focus of that purpose, probably we cease or we cannot claim to be the wisest creatures on this planet. Those of you who are from science background, Homo sapiens. What does the word sapiens means in this? The wisest, the most wise. Or we have been given the title of Ashraful Makhlukat, the best creature on this planet. Then it has iske apne taqaze hain. To call ourselves the best creatures, it demands something from us. It demands understanding the feelings of others, providing a reasonable space to the opinion of others, to have flexibility, to be very humble to each other, not only to fellow human beings, to all other creatures. We have to live in harmony with all other creatures that God has created on this planet. Once we lose focus of this thing, we cannot claim to be the best creatures on this planet. The basic purpose, एक दूसरे का दर्द समझने के लिए. Once we have this feeling, this will be the cornerstone, or this will be the foundation of peace and mutual coexistence. Somebody has very rightly said, दर्द उल्फत जिंदगी के वास्ते अक्सीर है. अक्सीर means life saving. दर्द उल्फत जिंदगी के वास्ते अक्सीर है, खाक के पुतले इसी जौहर से इंसान हो गए. Once you eliminate this dard ulfat from him, so he is no more a human being. Then peace. What do we understand by peace? Does it mean only no existence of war? I think peace is much more. Peace is beyond that. Once I see any fellow human being, anywhere, I come across at any place, be it in my home, at my office, at any place on the globe, there has to be a sort of a mutual trust. एक हमदर्दी का जज्बा एक दूसरे के लिए होना चाहिए. If there is no physical damage to our fellow human beings with whom we live, with whom we interact, if we don't get involved in any physical damage to each other's body, merely that thing doesn't mean that we are living in peace. As Professor Mishra said, communicate, coordinate, help each other. Probably those are other dimensions. People from social science, they can explain it, they know it better than me. But as I told you, these are just common man's observations which I am submitting before you. Then India as a whole, it has a very rich past, very rich history of peace and mutual coexistence. There is a lot to learn from that history. And coming to this part of the country, Kashmir, a famous poet of this region, a Kashmiri poet of this region, he has said, Yim sakhan paida karan khalkan andar ulfat lol, dur yim sid gets nafrati wan hishnavta. Oh, yes, Majur. Majur, he has said these. Yim sakhan, oh God, praise. This used to be the prayer, a morning prayer in the schools. Oh God, teach me that which eliminates hatred from the minds and hearts of the people, which brings people together, which spreads love and only love. Kindly teach me to utter that, to say that, to narrate that only. So, keeping those things into consideration, we have a very rich past. So, where these things, disturbances, this won't shatter our confidence in peace and mutual coexistence.
The greatness of Indian civilization is to accommodate, assimilate, and synthesize the diverse impulses of human wisdom, philosophy, and faith. The arrival of Islam as a religion and body politic led to a continuous negotiation between the existing and new tradition. The idea of composite Indian culture and Indian way of life reached to its culmination under the aegis and patronage of the Mughal rule. It was Emperor Akbar who commissioned the translation of great Sanskrit works like Mahabharata, Ramayana, Panchtantra, and Bhagavad Gita, perhaps to facilitate greater understanding of India's rich tradition. The climax of compositeness was further fostered by Jahangir, who made it a routine to meet mystics like Chadrup. It was in the backdrop of this cultural compositeness that Shah Jahan's elder son, Muhammad Dara Shikoh, was born to Arjuman Banu Begum on last day of Safar in 1024 Hijrah, corresponding to 20th March 1615 AD at Sagartal in the vicinity of the spiritual city of Ajmer. The initial childhood of Dara Shikoh was marked by a growing between Shah Jahan and his father Jahangir. Dara lived up to the age of 13 as a captive of his grandfather and returned to Agra with the coronation of his father. Being a genius with mystic inclination, the life-changing experience of Dara Shikoh came when he accompanied his father to renowned Qadri saint of Lahore, Mian Mir. The young prince chose to be disciple of Mian Mir along with his sister Jahan Ara. Owing to the old age of Mian Mir, Dara had to take discipleship of Mian Mir's favorite disciple, Mullah Akhund Shah, who had made Kashmir as his abode. The text Nuskha-e Ahwal Shahi portrays how difficult it was for Dara to secure discipleship of this unassuming saint. Besides these Qadri saints, Dara was equally benefited by the company of Hindu saints like Baba Lal. Being exceptionally a learned person, Dara Shikoh embarked on a journey of conquest by pen. He emerged as a celebrated hagiographer of medieval India. His famous books like Sakinatul Awliya and Safinatul Awliya on the one hand emphasize upon the life of different saints and their contribution. On the other hand, it establishes Dara's extraordinary erudition and scholarship. He also composed Hasnatul Arifin. His Risale Haqnuma is a fine example of penmanship, wherein he deals with complex and metaphysical ideas with dexterity. Similarly, the translation of Sanskrit texts reached to its culmination under Dara Shikoh. It was he who translated Upanishads and named them Sri Akbar, great secretaries. The said work is the collection of some 50 Upanishads. Similarly, he wrote Majma'ul Bahrain, literally meaning the meaning of two oceans. These are not rivers, but oceans. According to Professor Mahfuzul Haq, quote, this small tract is of supreme importance to a student of comparative religion, as it embodies, so far I know, the first and perhaps last attempt of its kind to reconcile the two apparently diverse religions, unquote. Then one can easily glean the negotiation of Vedanta with Wahdatul Wujud philosophy, establishing an ecclesiastical and metaphysical synthesis. These works were reinforced by Kavindracharya Sarvat, the Doyen of Sanskrit at Shahjahan's court. The embracement of Dara Shikoh as a disciple of Mullah Akhund Shah, who had made Kashmir his abode, led to deeper connection of the Mughal prince with this land. Although the Mughal rulers venerated Kashmir as a land of extravagant beauty and charm, its serene environment helped the spiritual masters to mediate. Dara Shikoh visited Kashmir frequently to meet Mullah Akhund Shah. The connection with this land of spirituality helped to preserve Dara Shikoh's memories here. Dara facilitated a Madadimash grant, land grant hota tha, as you know, for his spiritual mentor at Parganai Fog. We are this time in Parganai Fog. This valley to east is known as Parganai Fog. Grant for his spiritual mentor at Parganai Fog, the place which today is known as Malsha Bagh or Malabagh. That locality is here.
Usually, Indian Council of Philosophical Research promotes philosophical activities, and to do this, it promotes organizing seminars, workshops, etc. And the idea on which this seminar is being organized, Dara Shikoh, a doyen of global peace and mutual coexistence. It is a little bit away from the main purpose of ICPR, because the idea we are discussing, it is a little bit wide in the sense that we are talking about global peace and also mutual coexistence, and we are taking reference to a scholar, to a prince who was born around 500 years ago, and unfortunately he could not become the king of India, Bharat. And at this moment, if we are talking about Dara Shikoh and his philosophy, his thoughts, there are a few points which we should take care of it. This is 21st century and 23 years have passed when this century started. And this time in which we are living, however, is full of so many things, so many facilities. At the same time, this time is very much problematic in the sense that since 2022, we all are witnessing a war between two countries, Ukraine and Russia. Actually, when we see the war between countries, I think whether the human being cannot live without fighting with others, whether a country cannot live peacefully with its neighbors, whether the people cannot live peacefully with other persons, and if they could, and actually this if should be removed from this sentence, because if we are here to exist, we must exist together. if we are not living together, then it is very much necessary that we will not be able to live ourselves. Because in this time, we know that many countries have so many missiles, so many atom bombs, so many things which can destroy this whole world within a few minutes. And in that situation, what should be the way of life, way of living? How could we coexist? Earlier there was not so much challenge. Earlier means 500 years ago, or you can say 1000 years ago, because people used to live in different pockets and there were facilities limited, very much limited facilities were there. And if one has to reach America, it must take so much time, and it was almost impossible to reach there. And we know that when Vasco da Gama came to India, it is known that he discovered India. By this name it is known. The reason is that people used to live in different parts of country, different parts of world, and without interference, any kind of interference. And there were wars, there were issues. When one person or one state, one group came into relation with other persons. But in this 21st century, we all know that the world has become very small. Now we can move to go to the moon, and we don't know what will happen in next 20 years or next 30 years. So we all are here to exist and to coexist. Because if we are fighting, then there will not be anything which can save us. So the idea on which this seminar is organized, taking Dara Shikoh into the center of this dialogue, the topic is actually global peace and mutual coexistence. How global peace can be sustained? This is the one question. And what is the way we can coexist? In Upanishads, it is said, Dutiyad vai bhayam bhavati. One gets frightened from others. I have written one text in which I have written a sloka. Dutiyad jayate bhitir naikaki sukhamashnute. One person cannot live happily. Because if you leave a person in a desert, he will die. It will not be possible to live. We are born to live together, to coordinate with others, to communicate with others. When we are not communicating directly, we must invent some way to communicate with others. Therefore, we invented Facebook. We also invented WhatsApp. We also invented Twitter, etc. Why? In order to take an opportunity to mix with others, to talk with others, to communicate with others. So that is the one reality, that if we have to live, this is the very much necessity, and this is the very much fact, that when one person meets another person, some kind of doubt is there. We might think that whether the person will behave in a good way, but when we meet others, we talk to them, we handshake with them, and thereafter we get very much satisfied that the person is very good and we can live with him.
रजिस्ट्रार साहब का भी मैं तहे दिल से शुक्रिया अदा करता हूं। धन्यवाद ज्ञापन की इस शुभ मुहूर्त में सेमिनार के मुख्य अतिथि जो इस वक्त तशरीफ ले जा चुके हैं, चीफ गेस्ट के रूप में सेमिनार को सुशोभित करने के लिए पधारे प्रोफेसर फारूक मसूदी साहब, डीन एकेडमिक अफेयर्स, यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ कश्मीर के स्नेह को शब्दों से नहीं सजाया जा सकता, केवल महसूस किया जा सकता है कि अपने बहुत ही अत्यंत व्यस्त समय में से पर्याप्त समय निकालकर हमारे इस आयोजन की शोभा बढ़ाई। मैं मुख्य अतिथि डीन एकेडमिक अफेयर्स सर का धन्यवाद प्रकट करता हूं। गेस्ट ऑफ ऑनर के रूप में तशरीफ लाए डीन फैकल्टी ऑफ सोशल साइंस M. गनाई साहब को भी दिल की अगाध गहराइयों से धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करता हूं।